Japanese reliability with Italian styling. It didn't get better. So Freddie Tavares tells me that his car is painted in Arancio Argos. And that car to me screams Fast and the Furious and screams Lamborghini because it stands out as being a Lamborghini. It's orange and it's rare indigo and it stands out from every other Tesla parked next to it. So after saving Tavares' second Lamborghini Murcielago, getting it back, it gave me this kind of feeling. I've been well known for buying fake F40s and fake Diablos. I knew where there was another Lamborghini hidden in a garage, right? And it'd been in there 3 years, but I didn't know, because I'm not a supercar guy, I just knew it had a Lamborghini badge on the front, and the bonnet was very similar in its shape and form to the Diablo that I had. So it had like a quite elongated to a point on the front, and I thought it was a Diablo. But after picking up Tavares' Murcielago, I realised that headlights had a really abrupt angle to them, and these little headlight washers at the bottom were really obvious that was a Murcielago. And I thought, I know where there's one basically 2 miles away from my workshop in a garage. And inside the garage had earned money off this person for 3 years to store it, to repair it, and do stuff that they hadn't actually done, okay? So for some reason on the passenger door, they couldn't actually get it to open and close properly, so they filled in the handle and then painted over it in black on an orange car. Like, I don't get it, right? And I turned up for the last 3 years and be like, come on, man, who wants to sell me that kit car? Someone's going to sell me it. But because these guys are making money on it every week, they've got no want to sell it unless they're making any money. And the number plate was DKC, so it was Dave Kent Carpentry or something like that. And I didn't understand that or put 2 and 2 together. And I said, look, how much does he want for it? Just give me a figure. And at this point in my life, I just sold the F40, so I had 20 grand in the bank, and I was feeling pretty liquid. You know, for the first time in my life, I wasn't as hard up as I once was. I sort of went in there and said, how much is it? He said, oh, throw me a figure and I'll put it at him. So I know he's going to make a cut on top. You know, we all got to put food on the table at the end of the day. And he goes, Dave Kent will never sell that. And I went, Dave Kent, he's a builder down in Gosport. He's all like swallowing his words. It's taken me 3 years for this guy to slip up, right? He's got no want to get out of his workshop. It earns him money every day. So I get on my phone, I phone my Uncle John, who's a bricklayer. Hey, John, do you know Dave Kent? He went, yeah, he's one of my good mates. Like, send me his number. Cool. Put the phone down. Within 11 minutes from leaving that workshop, I bought it for 10 grand, right? And he said, I paid £17,000 for it 3 years ago, and it's sat in that workshop. They MOT it every year, and I still don't pick it up because it's not finished. I went, right, what do you want for it? He goes, I want my money back. I said, I'll do your deal. I'll tell you what I've got, because there's no point me telling you what I haven't got. I mean, this is, you know, shrewd negotiation tactics that old Rob Pitts taught me back in the day. Tell them what you've got, you know, and throw some sincerity in there. Show the man that you mean business. I said, look, I've got £10,000 cash, no messing around. That's all I've got in the whole wide world, and I've got that. But what I'll do for you, you've been wanting to drive that car for 3 years. I'll get it out, I'll put it back on the road, I'll paint it, and I'll let you have it for a weekend when it's done. How about that? And I'll give you 10 grand. He went, oh, give me 10 minutes and I'll call you back. I went, right. Within 2 minutes, he said, yeah, that's fine. So I wired the money straight into his account and got it out. Couldn't start it, steering lock was stuck, couldn't find the keys. So I gave it a couple of days and we went back for the car, and it was in the corners, covered in leaves. It looked like it had been abandoned for years, let alone 2 days. To me, my heart's going crazy because I'm stood back looking at the car, and when I was at Tavares' one, I got like size 12 feet. I'm walking along the car, pacing it out, because if there's one thing I know about a replica, I've had some pretty awful looking replicas that are not in proportion. So when I was at Tavares' one, I did front to back, back to side. And I wrote it down on my phone in notes, and I did the same to this car. And it was perfectly in proportion. Front bumper to rear bumper, exact. Side to side, exact. When you looked at the wheels at a slight glance, it had fiberglass calipers and metal brake discs that were sandwiched between the 8-inch wheel spacer and the wheel. But the caliper itself was actually mounted to the vehicle so that the brake disc itself rotates inside the fiberglass Lamborghini caliper. So to any unsuspecting non-mechanic, it looks like real big dish, like brake discs and calipers. It looks amazing. You open the doors, they go up, they don't come back and decapitate me like my Diablo. And the car starts. But I'm there thinking, what is this? Is it an MR2? Is it a Pontiac Fiero? Is it built on a space frame? Like, I've seen all these different cars. Like Casey Putch has built some amazing stuff on a space frame. I've seen F40s on Fieros, and I've seen MR2s. Even Peugeots and Ford Cougars have been used as base vehicles for these kit cars. So I spent 25 minutes trying to find the bonnet release, right? Finally, I opened the front bonnet and there's a radiator in there, so I know it's engine in the back, which I kind of hope because there's no space for it. But at this point, it could still be a Fiero because it's got a rad at the front and a space for a spare wheel. Open the engine bay, and it's the holy grail of Japanese cars. It's a twin-entry 2-litre turbo MR2. So if you're going to build a Lamborghini, which I've named it, you're going to want the best kind of engine you could get out of that pre-car. So the first car you start off with, you want something a little bit more powerful. I mean, if this car was a non-turbo, you'd really, really struggle to even, you'd be burning that clutch out in seconds because the weight of the car is ridiculous. Even with a twin-entry turbo engine, I was driving at home and little Ford Fusions were driving past me like I was, mopeds were going, and just overtaking me. But I had the most amazing sound, all right? Even though I was doing 23 mile an hour and I was in second gear, I just dropped that throttle and what? I had the most amazing dump valve you've ever heard in your life. It had a 4-inch induction kit, it had a 4-branch exhaust, it had a full stainless exhaust. And when I say full, we're talking like 2 foot of stainless exhaust that came straight out the back. And it sounded amazing. And I got it back to the workshop and I'm thinking, this truly is my Fast and the Furious replica Lamborghini replica. Like, it quite literally is the epitome of hard up garage. It looks the part and that's about it. So I got it back and I had it valeted and cleaned and mopped and polished and it came up all right. But the color was odd. It was a really light, it looked like a tangerine. Like, it was a really light orange, didn't stand out. But the seats inside were also orange and black. So it had that contrast that it matched. But I needed to decide what to do. So I phoned Ed and I said, Ed, I've bought the worst Lamborghini in the world. Okay, the worst fake imposter Lamborghini in the world, because I'm sure Ed's had the worst Lamborghini in the world with his Gallardo. But I bought the Lamborghini, and I said, what color should I do? Because black with the Diablo worked really well. It was an old 90s style car. The black kind of made it timeless. People couldn't really tell it was fake because it was black, and it made it very modern. And Ed was like, do something bright, go something really bright that screams I am a Lamborghini as opposed to I am a replica. And after that, I put the phone down and I texted Tavarish for the paint code, and he sent it to me within an instant of a second, and I dropped it to the body shop. I broke down it twice, it overheated, it threw steam everywhere, like airlocks in the system. It poured brown radiator water onto my brand new trainers. Like, it was quite literally amazing. But I did 100 miles in it, and it was Toyota reliability, once again, Japanese reliability with Italian styling. It didn't get better. I dropped it to the body shop. There's the paint color. In 7 days, I'm going to Petrol Hedonism live. And we're saying petrol hedonism because over here you have gearheads, right? In America, we call them petrol heads. But you guys, hedonism is something very naughty and frowned upon. But hedonism, petrol hedonism, is everything petrol head. So whether you're a Jap guy or an American car guy, you're all meeting in one place. Big show, I'm the compare. I want something to show that I'm Sam Hard, and I've arrived in my hard up apparel and vehicle. Said, guys, you've got 7 days to get this car painted. He was like, no chance. I was like, I'll make it worth your while. I'll pay you every hour you work and I'll supply the paint. Deal. 7 days it was painted and it looked good. I mean, 20 feet, you park it next to another Murcielago, which we did, and it looked perfect. The worst thing was the headlights, where they were like a fiberglass mold and they got the holograms in them. One had a chip and all the dust came in, so the car looked amazing, but the headlights looked really bad. So it was a wrap company, which we put it on their booth at first, and they wrapped the headlights just in black, just to hide the imperfections. It was a 50-50, okay? Most people that knew what a Murcielago looked like looked at those interiors and that SW20 MR2 interior, and they knew straight away. But from 20, 40 feet, they thought it was a Lamborghini, and that's all I needed to do. And then at the end of the show, I parked the car outside of Nebworth House, which is one of the biggest manors in the United Kingdom. Robbie Williams, Oasis, all these big British icons had all played there, and now my Lamborghini was on display, right? And there was 2 Murcielagos, Murcielago SV, which apparently is quite a fancy bit of kit, another bright orange Lamborghini, and my Lamborghini, my Lamborghini. And it was hilarious because the owners were genuine human beings that loved that I had the ambition to blend in as the dark sheep of the group, that I wasn't discarded to the curb, right? But I was included, and they had some fun, they took some photos, we had a laugh. And for once in my life, I felt what it was like to be a supercar owner, right? I felt that I had something that people were in awe of having and loved the look of. But there was this sense of they were worried about kids coming near it or curbing the wheels or damaging it, right? And I had none of that. I had kids sat on the bonnet. I had kids climbing across the seats, putting the DVD player on with a massive 12-inch sub behind the seat going crazy, listening to Peppa Pig. Like, it quite literally was everything I'd ever dreamed of. It had the looks and the style of a supercar, but it had the interior that kids could just enjoy. And that's what it's about, enjoying life.
We'd like to thank Patrick Adair Designs for their support of the VINwiki channel this month. Patrick and his team create some of the most amazing rings you've ever seen out of the most interesting materials on Earth, and I guess from space at times, because they do also use meteorites and superconductors and all this crazy stuff, interesting metals, even at times parts from broken exotic cars. This one was made out of some carbon fiber and some aluminum from the barrel of a broken LP640 wheel off a car I used to own. This year we're going to do some more exotic car part collaborations with different ring ideas, so be sure to stay tuned for that. You've also seen Patrick sitting right here in this chair telling some of his best car stories, and he'll be back to tell some more. Patrick has also documented his journey of entrepreneurism and some of their ring projects on his own YouTube channel, as well as some of his amazing car projects. So check them out and visit them at the link in the description below. Use the code VINwiki20 for a 20% discount, and thank them for their support of VINwiki.